Welcome, everyone. Today is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, and this is the Cluster API Karpenter Feature Group meeting. We're a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and we follow their meeting guidelines. So basically, I had one topic to bring up today, and that is the update to Kube 130 and 1.9 Cluster API. And what I'll do is we can look at this quickly because Pavel and I were just talking about this. And so there was a problem part of the way through where we were not able to get test env working. And Stefan was saying it was because the setup test env was actually out of date that we were using. And so what I did to fix that is I had to go in and I had to manually update this value for setup env test. And this is the Go mod. So this is how we're bringing the dependencies in, right? The problem with this package, setup env test, is that it is not versioned on its own. So if we go look at it, this has a Go mod that tells us what it is,
Yeah.
but this is not versioned on its own. So it's very difficult. If you tell the Go
Oh,
tooling,
I see. I see.
right, if you tell the Go tooling to update, um, the dependency version, so you tell it to
So,
automatically update this, it will only grab the most recent one. And
mhm.
the problem was that in the most recent version of this, we can see that if it grabs it, it will try to bring in Kubernetes
Uh-huh.
1.33. And
Right.
so I needed to go back. And what I did was I went in here and I looked
Comment.
for the release that
Hmm.
had the same Kubernetes version. And I think it was like the 18 release.
Oh,
So I
right.
went back and I started to look until I found it was the same Kubernetes version. And see here it was even grabbing a different version. And
Yep.
then now at this
And
point I know
commenter.
I've got a
Okay.
good version of this. And what I did
Hmm.
was I look at the history, and by looking at the last commit information here, I could actually create this, what they call the pseudo version for
Yeah.
this. So you can see it's got like a date and then a hash of the commit. And so that
Hmm.
way the tooling could bring in the exact version of setup testing. So that was what it took to fix it. And I was happy to have you look at it, Pavel. I also knew it was kind of tough, so I didn't know, but
Uh,
that's how we ended up fixing it.
Honestly, I just don't want to interfere or double what's there, right? And I think we got to the proper, I think it's a perfect scenario for something that should be more automated and generic, right? So you mentioned in the beginning that the actual module there doesn't exist and has to be pulled in manually through going with uh, indirect dependencies through commit hashes and so on, right? So I'm wondering, like, do we have those kind of bots? I mean, we have those kind of bots. I mean, out there somewhere in projects across the projects. Is it possible to just adjust it for a future bit so this doesn't happen again? Because it looks like a perfect okay, the big notation, the simplest case scenario for something that could be addressed in a more generic way. If you if, yeah if you
Yeah.
if you've got me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it's a great question. In this specific case, right? Like we would have to take that up with the controller runtime maintainers to see if they would be willing to version this in a different way. And I've never talked to them about this, so I don't know how complicated it would be. Maybe it would be easy. Maybe they haven't done it because it's difficult or something. I'm not sure,
Not
but it's a good
noted.
question.
Okay. Right, because
Oh,
it's current runtime. Uh-huh. So it's kind of common. So I guess it has its versioning
right.
separate.
And I think
Okay.
it's owned by SIG API Machinery, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this it's own so like ideally this would be a great question to go to a SIG API machinery meeting and then ask them, like, hey, we ran into this problem trying to get a good version of setup end
Cool.
test. What's the story?
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, but good
Cultural
good
runtime
question, and yeah,
containers and SIG API machine. Good.
yeah, good looking towards the future too. Like it makes good sense to me. So, anyways, now we should be able to use the Carpenter provider with Cluster API 1.9 and Kubernetes 1.30. The next step will be to upgrade it for 1.10 and 1.31. So that's something that, I don't like if you wanted to take a look at it, I'd be more than happy to look at a PR if you want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yep, sure. I mean, I'll be looking at this, although I'm not sure if it will also be like semi-manual, or maybe I'll be able to reach and join six that maintain a few things that you mentioned. So it's like API machinery and control runtime guys from the project, right? So we have it more generic, or maybe that will be just another step so I can see this for myself and then, pull all the dependencies, go mount tidies and whatever, and then make sure that everything actually assembles into one. So I think I will look up SIG API machinery. I'm not sure if I have it on my calendar. So I can just use Slack, right? If I wanted to communicate with them.
Yeah, I think
Because the first solution may be naive, right? And
right.
but in the long run, that's something I think that's very important.
Yeah, here's where you can find their meetings. I'll put a link in our agenda so you can find it again easily.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, if you wanna see the link to like their meetings and everything, like this is where you could find it. So
Okay.
it looks like it might be a little late in your time zone
Nah,
because
that
it's
doesn't
like
matter. I'm
okay.
I'm like between time zones a little bit, so yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, welcome, Marco. We were just going over kind of this latest change that got merged in. So the next step will be to update the provider again. Um, I think there's still some outstanding work that could be done around like asynchronous explorations and whatnot, but maybe that'll come in the future. So, anyways, that was the only topic I had. Pavel or Marco, do you guys have any topics you wanted to discuss? Okay, well, I guess we can take back about 15 minutes of our day then. So thanks for coming out and yeah, see y'all next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. See ya.